Rather, it gives it to everybody. And this everybody, which is all of us here, are what we call nodes or validators. One of the key things that this Trilema talks about is that a blockchain can have either of these two properties and neglect one. So we have talked about decentralization. Now, some of the key aspects of decentralization is it shows that there is no single point of failure or control or censorship. Like, the government cannot just come and hijack it or shut it down. It equally means that everybody have the right to participate in validating of nodes, not minding where you are coming from. Now, when we say the blockchain is a distributed ledger, it still means that the blockchain is decentralized. When we talk about a distributed ledger or distributed consensus of the blockchain, it means that the agreement in the blockchain is unified. It flows through every validator, and every validator gets exactly the same result, just as all of us living in various countries, but getting exactly same result. Another reason why this matters is that since blockchain is revolutionary, it changes with time. There are new evolutions coming up here and there. The way the blockchain was functioning as of 2011 of Bitcoin is quite different from how it's functioning now in times of improvement. But provided it is decentralized, it means that it removes intermediaries. It makes it go away from the central government's authority. Although there are still lots of arguments that the blockchain is not decentralized. We will get to that. Now, another big instance here is there are actually some who have higher decentralization, but they suffer from scalability or throughput. We will point on that with time. Let's talk of the second one, security. When we talk about the security of the blockchain, let me bring it down. Probably when you were discussing the properties of the blockchain, what you talked about more is immutability. When we say the blockchain is immutable, it means you cannot alter a transaction that have already been completed. It remains same, nothing changes. Now, for me to explain this security of the blockchain, I will explain it from the aspect of immutability. If anybody is a medic here, when you see an imbecile or imbecile as they may call it, or yes, let me just use imbecile, or you see some people who are dumb from birth or deaf from birth, or any other deformity you see in any human body from birth, you may begin to ask yourself, what is this? That particular deformity is a result of mutation. It is as a result of gene mutation. Now, for people who did biology, if you can remember, it has been a long time we did that. There are ways that the gene in the body code, the chromosomes and every other thing. There are ways they code themselves. We have the adenine coding with guanine and the cytosine coding with cyanide waiting, or there are different method, either A coding with T and C coding with G. Now, if A is meant to code with T and C is meant to code together with G, and A now leaving T to code with G and C now leaving G to code with this thing A, it leads to what we call mutation. That mutation is a deformity as a result of improper gene coding in the human body. So in the blockchain, when we say it is immutable, that means no matter how you place the gene, provided the transaction has been, provided the sperm has already fertilized, there is never a way that you will give birth to an imbecile. Provided the photos have been formed, there is never a way you are going to give birth to an imbecile. That is what the blockchain immutability means. That means, provided the transaction is completed, you can never change whatever comes later on. That is why you can't delete transactions in the blockchain. Now, there's what we call metadata. I will talk about that more when I will talk about NFT. Metadata are characters that forms or that makes NFTs. Now, when you mint an NFT, the transaction remains same. It doesn't change. Rather, you can create subsequent transaction on top of already existing one, which is what we call the object-centric nature of the blockchain. It is a special one. So it treats everything as an object, whereby a transaction that has been completed can have more other transaction on top of itself. Yet, that transaction can never be altered. That is what it simply means. There may be different arguments or critics about the immutability of the blockchain, but I don't think the transaction that was made 11 years ago, you can come today and you will go and delete it. No, it's not possible in the blockchain. Therefore, if this is this way, that means the security of the blockchain simply shows the blockchain's ability to resist attack, maintain data integrity, and continually operate correctly without being hit by any malicious link or anything. I said something earlier. When smart contracts are being created, take for instance Solidity, which is the smart contract for EVMs, then Rust, which is the smart contract um, for SVM, Solana Virtual Machines, and Move, which is the Move, which is the smart contract for Move Move ecosystem. When they are being created, there are loopholes that exist in them. The security consciousness of the developers are not 100% certain. Therefore, they still lack one or two security measures that should protect the blockchain. As such, that is why there are attacks that happen on the blockchain and people still go away with it. Now, if a blockchain can maintain about 51% resistance to attack, that simply means that people can actually see it as a blockchain. Now, there's what we call double spending. Double spending is a situation whereby when you execute, let me say, you import your wallet into another phone and you execute, you have 1 USDT. Okay, let me say you have 10 USDT. You use one of your phone and execute a transaction of 10 USDT, and use the other phone that have exactly the same wallet address and execute another transaction of 10 USDT. You know, these are different gadgets, different devices, but same wallet address. Double spending is put into consideration, whereby if you execute these two transactions concurrently, the blockchain would only accept one and cancel the other. Because if you don't put the double spending in place, that means you can execute different banking transactions and it will go through. Let me give an instance where double spending actually plays a role. if you transfer 2,000 to somebody right now in OPay or PAMPay, and you trigger another 2,000 naira transfer to that same account, that same time, they will pop up a warning for you. How many people have seen that? If you have seen that, you can unmute your mic and say something. Okay, let me say nobody have actually seen that before, but you can go back and try it.
I've seen it.
Oh, okay, that is the effect of double spending. So blockchain puts it in place whereby in times of security, when you trigger a transaction, even if it's from different wallets, from the same wallet but different phone, it will pop up a notification. It will not pop up a notification. Rather, it will just tell you that this account has insufficient fund, or it wouldn't go through. It will just bounce back the transaction because it have actually accepted one. Now, in times of security, the blockchain considers strong cryptographic guarantees. When wallet formation, when you want to create a wallet, when you trigger that instance, there are JSON keys that are sent to the parties that returns back either SHA-224 or any other thing. It returns it back to you. When it returns it back to you, it is things that make up to create a proper there are things that make up to create a proper wallet address, your private key, and enable you to carry out transaction. So in this period that this thing is being formed, these are the cryptographic guarantees that have to be fulfilled for your wallet to be saved. If these characters are not met, your wallet would be vulnerable to attacks. That is why it is put into consideration that, yeah, these conditions have to be met for this to be properly carried out. Now, as of today, I actually made a tweet because I love cryptography a whole lot. I noticed that if you use ZK login, which is this zero knowledge login, you barely find it hard. In fact, you don't see your seed phrases. Now, if your wallet is being hacked, if your email is being compromised and taken away from you, what now becomes your faith? Your faith, rather, in times of your wallet, because your wallet has been hacked. Your email has been hacked. How would you be able to recover your money? I have seen, I think some cryptographers actually responded to that, and we are still on the research to make sure that people are actually safe. So some said use a two-factor authenticator. Don't still believe that you cannot be compromised even while you are using this thing ZK login. So all of these are things that are being considered in times of security, and the finality or the economic incentives during attacks of the blockchain. Some of them are quite expensive because no matter how much you have in your platform, immediately you are being exploited, the whole money you have in your platform goes away. So how can you now make sure that the people whom their money is in your platform are 100% secured? These are the relevant security measures or questions that really need to be asked. So all these things matters because anytime a platform halts, by halting I mean stop producing block. Now, when blockchain is said that it stopped producing blocks, that means there is no transaction that is going through. I don't know if anybody have witnessed when a blockchain stopped producing blocks. When it happens, the money you have in your wallet is as good as being useless because you will just see the figures, but you can't carry out any transaction. That is what it means when a blockchain stops producing blocks. Now, a block is a single cryptographic transaction, while the combination of these blocks is simply what blockchain is. A combination of all these cryptographic transactions is truly the meaning of blockchain. So a block is just a single transaction. Now, all these things merge together to run this security, you still need power to run them. You need either this thing, you need light. If it's for blockchain, since they run on proof of work, you need electricity to run your mining this thing to mine. You still need you still need you need power to run it. You spend money to run it and a whole lot of other things. Then the last one, which is scalability. Scalability is simply the ability of the blockchain to handle high volume of transaction the same time while not lagging or not shutting down. Now, scalability in this trilemma, it is more like the triangle of the blockchain, which is the trilemma. Scalability is one of the vital parts that the blockchain have been missing for a very long time. The blockchain can actually, a whole lot of blockchains are actually strong in times of should I say, they are strong in times of security. They are strong uh, in times of decentralization, but scalability has become a very big problem. And because of that, that is why L2s began to emerge. This scalability spans across producing of how much gas fees are cost. Let's take for instance for Ethereum. Before now, the gas fees in Ethereum are quite expensive, but currently, due to evolution and some other things, gas fees have become a little bit reduced. Give me a sec. So scalability has become a very big problem. So L2s have actually emerged to solve some of the solution of scalability. We know some of the L2s, we know Base, we know Arbitrum, a whole lot of them, including L3 is coming out now to solve some relevant issues in terms of scalability. Some still go as far as to say that they are more secured. And all of these are still part of the things that um, are involved in scalability. Now, let me give an instance. We talk about TPS, which is the transaction per second. Each chain have their various transaction per second. Um, some chains boast of 8,000 transactions per second. Some chain boast of 240 something or 97,000 transactions per second. Some chain boost of more of that. Recently, some actually talk of the confirmation speed, which is the speed at which transaction actually carries out completely. And when we talk about that, we see um Ton Pavadurov of Ton came out recently to say that Ton smashed 0.6 second transaction per second. People in Sui will tell you that um, their mitisetic has given them chance of scaling Sui blockchain from Nawal and Bushak mechanism they used to current mitisetic of 0.45 millisecond, which is transaction cost have reduced to, which is the gas fee, and users' ability have equally gotten better. Yet, among all this, some protocol gets a little bit more scalable, but the security begins to lag. Some protocols now get better in terms of all of these things, yet their decentralization changes from being more decentralized to having lesser number of validators. Now, there are some kind of futures I would like us to talk about in some of these things. When a blockchain somehow is a little bit scalable, you see that the number of validators look a little bit reduced. And when it's reduced, the speed increases. Now, in scalability, I think we talked about consensus mechanism. When you talk about consensus mechanism, especially in times of scalability, it talks about how a transaction is being validated, how the transaction carries out, and how everything is completed to be a good transaction. The speed somehow, and how they pass through different nodes. But there is what we call metastatic. Metastatic is the lowest latency that a blockchain can actually, a transaction can go to be executed properly. Now, if metastatic is the lowest that this can go to make sure that transactions are being executed at the fastest and easiest scale, you need to ask yourself, all these other transaction mechanism or consensus mechanism, how have they been flowing? Now, in consensus mechanism, it is in such a way that the transaction moves first, touches all the validators. The validators return back the report, and when it returns it back, it is being confirmed again and taken back to them. Now, if this movement is like 6 times, it moves like go and come back, go and come back, or go and come back. Now, the metastatic has scaled consensus mechanism in such a way that instead of going and coming back, instead of 6 parts or 2 parts of 6 different ways, it is now one path of 3 different points. So it wouldn't have to go and come back again, hitting 6 different ports, but it will just go once, and that is once for all. So since it's going this way, validators don't need to struggle themselves interacting and coming back again. You have seen that it has reduced the finality time. It has made the blockchain more scalable. Yet it has still opened road for the blockchain to be more prone to security issues. So this actually billions. Billionaire. So these are actually the processes that these things actually take to validate in times of consensus mechanism. So I will just jump direct to cut everything short, so we can actually ask question, because it's we are already behind schedule. So all of these things joined together are what make a proper blockchain. Therefore, the trilema signifies that when one is given more attention, when two is given more attention, one suffers from the attention of the two. No blockchain is perfect. That is why we see that there are a whole lot of exploitation in DeFi platforms. That means some of them are scalable, some of them have security, some of them are decentralized, yet the security is not as top much as what is needed. Now, some have proper security, some are decentralized, yet they are not as scalable as they are meant to be, just like Ethereum. Bitcoin is decentralized, it has maximum security, yet it is not scalable, it is slow. Solana has moderate decentralization, the security is high, yet the scalability is still high. But decentralization and security majorly is a big problem in Ethereum. For centralized applications, for Ethereum, the decentralization may vary, security is inherent but quite low, yet scalability is not as much as people intend. For Solana is the decentralization is moderate because there are quite a good number of validators. The security is high to some extent, and the scalability is very high. Now, for some other chains, some of them, their decentralization are low, but their security is quite high for Move, and the scalability is equally high. Above all of these are what are needed for the blockchain to be very, very precise and better. Yet, there is no single one of them that carries these features completely and gets it all perfectly. Rather, yet, all these things are all needed for the blockchain to be properly secured. So, some of the root causes of this trilemma are they can be traced back from um, when the foundation of the blockchain all started in times of code and every other thing needed. The solutions can be more of L2s, which we have seen. Then shredding is simply means splitting the database into the parallel vertices, whereby this one will execute this task perfectly, this one will execute this task perfectly, and they will all be meshed together. Then this what we call modules. Modules are more like different layers merged together that equally helps for data and consensus. Then we have the new consensus mechanisms, which some blockchains actually utilize now, and when they are merged together, they help. Some of them are, I know some of you might have heard of direct acyclic I direct acyclic graphs, and we have some which are Byzantine force graph and some of those other things. And above all, we have POH. Um, they are equally some of them that are advanced. Some people will talk of um, programmable transaction blocks, PTB, which means you can execute a whole lot of transaction, but just in time. So all of them are things that are needed to make sure that this price can be reduced a minimum. But above all, never a perfect chain. And the main tools for the trial analyze any block above pushing one of them then proper engineering so that to compromise other one. Um, I think a whole lot of people in 2026 have begun to realize that the trust of the blockchain can be reduced, but it cannot be neglected. So I will end it with this. There is never a perfect blockchain. Once more, I really want to apologize for not displaying this, and I equally want to apologize for not giving the proper full of myself in this class, because I should have given you guys a better attention. I really apologize, and in subsequent time I promise to do better than this. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Please, if you have any question, do well to ask questions anywhere you are confused so we can get it done.
All right. Good evening, sir. So my own question, I don't even know where to start asking from. Actually, this is the whole lot, the whole quite technical. I don't feel technical actually. So, but what me I would say is you can also drop a slide that you can go through it for proper understanding because there are many information flying across the old stuff and the old stuff. So just if you ask me what I learned now, I learned that there's never a perfect blockchain. Yes, so just drop the slide. I think you're better. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. I will definitely do that. I will definitely do that. Please, I don't know. Is there any other person that have a question on this? I think it is quite technical, yet it is still something that people. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I actually have a lot to ask, but then I actually don't. Maybe I don't understand the whole lot. So, but then maybe if you drop the PDF or if you drop the form the this thing, maybe I'll just go through it and then yeah research, do my own research, something like that. Maybe I'll understand better.
Okay, no problem. Please, guys, don't be offended. In before my next class, I will drop it before time, so everybody can be not just look at what I'm displaying, but you can equally be looking at your own slide while we'll be going on that together. Please, I'm really, really sorry about today. I'm really sorry about today. So, if I should ask, what do you now understand by the trilemma of the blockchain? Who can actually take that?
I actually see it more like the dilemma, or sorry, not dilemma, like the problems of the blockchain, and then the we cannot actually like fix all these problems. At least the blockchain aims at achieving two of these, at least achieving two solutions of this problem to be able to like run smoothly. If the blockchain can achieve two of it, then they can run smoothly, something like that.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. I think understanding it in your own term is actually the best. So that's simply the trilemma. The trilemma simply means out of these three core properties of the blockchain, that the blockchain can achieve two out of the three. Either it achieves decentralization and scalability, or it achieves scalability and security with a little touch of the other one, but not completely achieving the three of them same time.
Then I don't know if I'm right, or I also think maybe this scalability is like maybe one of the most important that the blockchain has to like um achieve. Like it's very important. Like any blockchain has scalability. I don't know if that's correct.
Yes, that is right. The blockchain has suffered from scalability the most. Now, why I say it is right is because when Bitcoin was created, Bitcoin is perceived to be highly secured, and that is because the proof of work, before you can do anything, the whole consensus mechanism that it needs to take, nodes will have to validate them very, very well before it can pass through. And that is why it can take over 15 minutes or 10 minutes and above to process a transaction in Bitcoin, which means it lacks scalability. Now, Ethereum had the problem of high gas fee, which still means it lacked scalability. But look at some of the current chains coming up now. Their transaction fees are quite reduced. If the blockchain didn't lack scalability, then there wouldn't be any need for L2s. So L2s are coming to make the blockchain more scalable. And I would say this, if there are subsequent L1s that are going to be coming out, those L1s don't need an L2 anymore. They are coming up being scaled internally before coming on. But do we really feel there would be any more L1s that will come up that would work more like the L1 of Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, and those in Move already. I think it will be very hard. But aside this, the blockchain suffered from scalability, which currently we have seen L1s coming up that are more scalable. And because the blockchain suffered from scalability, Ethereum has begun to bring up different versions of Ethereum itself. That is why I think they released EP something something recently to make the gas fees of Ethereum get better. The gas fee have reduced. Yet when it gets too tough, you see the gas fees still skyrocket again. So that is it.
Okay, so then I wanted to ask, right, the goal of studying the trilemmas, is it for us to know, or like is he also a study to maybe to find out a way of balancing the three? Or is it just that the three, let's say, is inevitably are not present in one block? I don't know where you get my
The purpose of trilemma the blockchain